20-10 vacant land purchase and sale agreement for the property at 2501 49th Street, the Heartwood Park acquisition.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mayor.
Akers.
Staff is submitting the vacant land purchase and sale agreement for their property located at 2501 49th Street. This is the property staff has requested for purchase for Heartwood Park. Funding for this purchase will be obtained through a Clark County interlocal agreement and a grant from the Recreation and Conservation Office. Any additional processing fees not covered by these two funding mechanisms will be paid out of park impact funds. Recommended action this evening: authorize the mayor to sign the vacant land purchase and sale agreement for the acquisition of the property located at 2501 49th Street for use as Heartwood Park. And please note on the first page, closing date number 11. It shows February 1, 2010. 2010 should be 2011.
Comments, questions from staff or from council?
So move.
Second.
Now, any questions, comments? Michael?
Mr. Mayor. Once again, I know that the city is going to enjoy this piece of property. But with regards to the issue of whether the money is already spent or not, with the passing of this agenda bill, the money is finally spent. If I understand correctly, the only reason that this 2008 grant money was received by the city, or the opportunity was received by the city, is because a different jurisdiction either didn't use the full amount that was awarded to them, or else turned it back. And what I'm saying, in essence, is that money that isn't spent, literally, is still not spent. With the passage of this bill, it will truly be spent. And it's that transition there that I'm unwilling to be part of, so I yield the floor.
Other comments, questions? Okay, I've got a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to sign the vacant land purchase and sale agreement for the acquisition of the property located at 2501 49th Street for use as Heartwood Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. And finally, Agenda Bill 150-10, resolution prohibiting traffic photo enforcement cameras. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution is a resolution prohibiting the use of traffic photo enforcement cameras in the city limits. And with regards to the reasons for it and against it, I'm sure that during our council discussion, there will be plenty of arguments for it and against it. I wanted to address one issue that was brought up before during public comments.
Point of order. Do we need to have that discussion during council comments?
Sorry. Good point. Sorry. My apologies. Anyway, the recommended action tonight is going to be to read the resolution by title only and pass and post the resolution in the usual manner. And Mr. Mayor, I move to read the resolution by title only.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to,
I would just want to say it's a fairly short motion. I'd like to hear it read for the public.
the entire resolution.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Do we want to amend a motion?
Well, it hasn't been repeated yet. So since the resolution, or since the motion has not been repeated yet, there is no motion on the floor.
Would you like to make a motion?
To
To read
In
the
that case,
resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we read the resolution.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to read the resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Would you like me to read that?
Please.
A resolution prohibiting the use of traffic photo enforcement cameras in the city limits of the city of Washougal. Whereas traffic photo enforcement cameras are often used as a new revenue generating device, and whereas typically when traffic photo enforcement initiatives are placed on the ballot, the voters solidly reject traffic photo enforcement. And whereas independent analysis proves that traffic photo enforcement cameras do not achieve the city's safety first objective. And whereas the increased use of traffic photo enforcement cameras accompany distrust of law enforcement. And whereas traffic photo enforcement cameras are often equated with an increased surveillance state, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council for the city of Washougal, Washington as follows. Section 1, that the city of Washougal prohibit the use by the city of traffic photo enforcement cameras in the city limits of the city of Washougal.
Thank you, Don.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass and post the resolution in the usual manner.
Second?
Got a motion to pass and post the resolution. Council discussion? Molly?
Yes, I would actually like to commend Councilman Delavar. I know that you have a great deal of concern for citizen privacy and for citizen rights, and that is one of the things that we as a council should be doing. There are checks and balances within every organization that balance citizens' rights with what the rights and the needs of the governing body is. And so I do commend you for that. In addition, if this were a topic that was going to be talking about revenue generation, then I would seriously want some very long and thorough discussions about the use of these, this photo radar as a revenue-generating tool and not primarily a safety tool. However, I have to say that I do fully believe in evidence-based voting. That is, I believe that I should base my vote on data that I'm given and evidence that I'm given and be able to decide for myself how I should vote. And frankly, we've had none of this, so I don't see any data, and certainly there are other cities and states around the country that have used this, and I would like to see data come and have a good discussion based on information that is sound and independent information. And so I would request that Councilman Delavar withdraw this resolution at this time, and once we get much more information, make a decision on it.
Thanks, Molly. Rod?
Yeah, a couple of comments were made earlier, and one of them was about the rear, they had finally started having rear-end accidents. And I'm not an expert, so I'll say that right up front, but in my 30 years in the fire department, if this was to create rear-end accidents, those are generally less intrusive into the inside of the car than a side hit. And anytime we've seen them get hit from the side, somebody's going to pay a price for that. If they're rear-enders, they kind of generally have come up with a whiplash. So if that were to be a piece of that pie. The other thing is that when we had the workshop, there's no need for this discussion right now. The police chief has not indicated in any way, shape, or form that there's a need for one, or nor was he looking at one. And by the time he would be interested in it, I think it was brought out that the technology is an issue in this. In 10 years or whenever that they decide to bring one out, maybe the technology will have changed. But for sure, I'm going to vote no on this due to the fact that that was brought up about the two different types of photos taken. And I think that if nothing else comes out of this, we have to distinguish between the two. Mm-hmm. And more than anything, since the chief isn't asking for this, I don't know why we're discussing it.
John?
And that's as simple as a resolution, if we want to just define what traffic cameras we're talking about. You know, I support this ordinance for a couple reasons. One, it is moving closer to Washougal. There are surveillance or these photo enforcement cameras in Longview where the citizens are actually putting together an initiative to overturn